In the past, I've done reviews for the highly popular Jackery Explorer 240 and 500 portable power stations. Today we're going to be testing out Jackery's second largest unit, the Explorer 1500. Let's take it inside, unbox it, and get the testing going. And right over here it says, important, please charge your portable power station to ensure full capacity before using. And over here it says charge and storage. For maximum battery power, charge me now and every 3 months, or keep me plugged in when not in use. Store me in a dry and cool place. Over here is the service and support information. Jackery is very well known for their high level of customer support, and they stand behind their products. If you have a problem with this during the warranty period, they will either fix or replace the unit. Alright, right here, look at the size of this switch mode power supply. It's huge, and it says 48 volts, 6 1/4 amps, 300 watt output. Connector to go in this side, and over here you have your accessory socket for your vehicle that you can use to charge the power station. And here it is out of the box, and in the box at the very bottom was this envelope. Right here's the contents of the envelope. You have a customer service support card and a manual. Very interesting, manual. Let me open it up so we can take a look at the specifications. The battery in this unit has a watt-hour capacity just under 1500, 41.34 amp hours, rated 36 volts. DC input voltage 2 times 48 volts, 6 1/4 amps, support 12 to 51, double to 600 watt max. That is very good because many of the portable power stations that I've tested in the past had an input voltage maximum only between 25 and 30, and as a result of that lower input voltage, I could not use a solar module that was rated 24 volts. So you'll be able to use a 12 volt or a 24 volt solar panel. You can either use the Jackery Solar Saga 100s or even the 200s if you'd like to have something very compact to travel with. Or if you have a pickup truck and you don't mind carrying a large solar module, you can also use that. Right over here you have your USB outputs. The Jackery 1500 has under voltage protection, over voltage protection, over current in-charge discharge protection, short circuit in-charge discharge protection, over temperature in-charge discharge protection, overcharging voltage protection. Over here you can see the certifications for the unit. The weight, 33 pounds, 15 kilograms. There are 3 110 volt receptacles at 60 hertz. 16.4 amp maximum, that's combined for all 3, so 1800 watts maximum continuous power. We're going to be testing this to make sure it can supply up to 1800 watts continuously. We're also going to check to see how well it handles high inrush power tools and appliances. The Jackery power stations use a lithium-ion battery pack. I know many of you like to see lithium iron phosphate, but Jackery uses the lithium ions. It supports solar panel MPPT charging, operating temperature -10 to 40 C. Over here are the power station dimensions. 12 volts, 10 amps is the input that you can use from your car to charge the power station. Life cycles, greater than or equal to 500. After 500, you can expect around 80% of the original capacity. On the side of the unit, which I'll show you in a minute, it does have a spotlight and an SOS. It does not have an area light. I would like to see Jackery add one of these later on. Very useful if you're inside of a tent or you're in a work area and you don't want a spotlight, but you'd like to have a nice area light. Recharge temperature between 0 degrees Celsius and 40 C. So 0 is 32 degrees Fahrenheit, which is freezing. We're going to take a look to make sure it cannot charge below freezing, and it does not charge above 40 C. To charge this power station, the manufacturer states 6 hours is required using the AC wall charger, using your car charger, of course, with the engine running. If you didn't have the engine running, you would drain your battery down extremely quickly with the level of current. You can also use 2 100 watt solar panels, and it would take around 9.5 hours. Of course, if you used 4 of them, it would charge much faster. We're going to see that later in the video. Using an electric generator is no different than using an AC wall charger. Right here you can see it shows how to connect two 100-watt panels in parallel using one port, using this extra connector. Let me show you what it looks like. It gets plugged into one of your input ports on the Jackery, and over here you take each one of your solar panels, plug them directly into these areas here. Both will be placed in parallel. You'll have one connection going into the unit. As you can see right here, it says do not only plug one panel into the port, there must be two panels plugged in order for the circuitry inside this to work properly. To turn on the Jackery, you could push the display button, or you could choose whatever you'd like to use. So if you need to charge something using USB, simply push the button. Power's on. You have a very nice display. Over here's your input power. Over here's the percentage of the battery remaining, which is 31%. And over here it says battery, meaning this is being supplied with power from the battery. 99 hours remaining at that level. So there's no current being drawn, so it's going to show 99. Put this one on here. You can see the light is on. So it's all on that section right here with the battery. The battery is for here and there. And if you want to use the AC receptacles, you push this button. You heard the fan come on very high when I turned it on, and right over here there's a symbol for alternating current, indicating power to all three receptacles. Shows the voltage 110, and over here 60 Hertz. To save the battery, the screen will automatically turn off. If you'd like to turn it back on, just push display and it comes right back on. Each end of the Jackery Explorer 1500 has a panel like you see here with all these openings to allow air to pass through the unit to keep it cool. One side has a fan and the opposite side is just open. Here's the light. Now it may not look too bright because I have a polarizing light filter on my camera and the camera is looking down at an angle, but if you're right in line with this, it is very bright. On, off, you push it and hold. Now you have an SOS, and then it's back off. Here's a look at the rear side of the unit, and over here is where I was talking about adding an area light, just like I showed in a previous video. And this is the opposite end of the power station. Before I begin the testing, let me connect up the AC wall charger, just to show you what this looks like when the unit's charging. Right over here you can see we're peaking out around 285, 286 watts. And it's going to take approximately 4.4 hours to get this all the way up to 100%. Later when I charge this up to 100% to perform the testing outdoors for the AC receptacle, I'm going to pull this out when it reaches 90%, and then I'm going to take this into my car with the engine running, just to make sure that the 13.8 to 14.2 volts that's in my vehicle can get this to go to 100%. So let's unplug this for now. Almost everyone that purchases a portable power station is interested in one thing, the AC output. They want to make sure that the AC output can supply what the manufacturer states, in this case 1800 watts. This unit has a peak power of 3600 to make starting motor devices, anything inductive, much easier. 85% of all your AC devices up to 1800 watts. According to the manufacturer, the USB Type-C can supply up to 3 amps continuously. This one here, the Type A, 2.4, and the Qualcomm 3.0 should be able to supply up to 3 amps. So let me connect up a tester here first. 3 amps. We got 5 volts coming off of this port. So let's go back here, turn it on, make sure it can supply 3 amps. We got 14.1. Voltage 4.7, that's good. Keep in mind this cord is a little long, so we're going to get a voltage drop. It's more than likely very close to 5 volts. This is now connected to the USB port in the center. We have it set for 2.4 amps. And you can see right here, 5 volts. Let's turn it on. 12 watts, 5 volts. Very good. Let's go back to, let's increase, see how high we can go. Slowing down right now. .7, not bad. I don't think it's going to make 3. .84. No. Alright, so around 2.75. So the middle port's fine. What I'm going to do in a minute is place a load on all 3 of these together, leave it connected for a half an hour, make sure there's no problems. Now let's go to the bottom one, the Qualcomm 3.0. Supposed to be able to supply up to 3 amps. Plug this in. Alright. 5.1. 3 amps, turn it on. .7. 4.9. So far so good. Let's bring this higher. Now slowing down. Yeah, it's not doing too good here. Nope, around 3.6. So each one of these ports definitely supplies the current level specified by the manufacturer. Now I'm going to place a load on all 3 at the same time, leave it connected for a half an hour. So the bottom Qualcomm 3.0 is going to have this load tester with 3 amps on it. Over here is 2 amps. I'm going to place that in the center. Then I'm going to take an iPad, place it off to the side, and let all 3 go. Okay, 35 minutes, no problems at all. Let's disconnect all these and go on to the next test. The next thing I want to do is take a look at the 12 volt 10 amp output. Turn this on. Let's measure the voltage at this lower level. 13.12. Now what I'm going to do is place a 10 amp constant current load on that accessory socket. We're going to leave it connected for a half an hour to make sure there's no heating problems. Right here's the voltage of the receptacle, 13.14. And you can see over here, it's set for 10 amps. Let's turn it on. And you can see right here, 127 watts. The voltage you see right here, 12.3, you're observing a voltage drop across this wire. Let's wait a half an hour and I'll come right back. Okay, just over a half an hour and no problem at all supplying 10 amps from this accessory socket. Now on to the AC section. Turn that on. Let's take a look at the AC voltage comparison. .110, 109, 110. Would have liked to have seen it a little bit higher, like 115, 120, but 110 is still acceptable. Now let's take a look at the frequency. Make sure it's 60 Hertz. 60.08. Right here's the AC output, and you can see it's a sine wave. Right here, RMS, 116 volts, frequency right around 60, and peak-to-peak voltage is 346. Now I'm going to connect up a 1,350 watt load, and we're going to take a look at the sine wave again. As you just saw, the waveform looked just fine under load. What I'm going to do now is connect up the load to the receptacle again and see if we can use the load while it's charging. Not a problem. Okay, let's let this charge up and then I'll be back. What kind of things can you power with the Jackery 1500? Let's find out. First, a microwave oven. This one here is a 1500 watt. And you can see right here, 1,584 watts. Pretty hot. Now let's try a hair dryer on high. No problem with that. Now let's see if the Jackery 1500 can turn on the refrigerator. Leave the door open, light is off. No problem at all with the inrush current from the compressor in the refrigerator. How about a large Craftsman shop vac? Turn it on again just to make sure there's no issues starting it up. Here we go. Okay, very few, if any, of the portable power stations, even power inverters that I tested on my channel, were able to start this heavy-duty circular saw. Let's give it a try. Not a problem for the Jackery 1500. In case you're wondering, as long as that circular saw blade is extremely sharp, very little load is going to be added while you're cutting wood. This chop saw is also a very hard thing to start up. Let's give it a try. The Jackery 1500 can also power electric pressure washers. Okay, now the Jackery 1500 is designed to supply up to 1800 watts continuously, but that does not mean it cannot go higher. So I'm going to turn the shop vac on and then also the hair dryer. Here we go. I gotta say, guys, that is one of the most impressive power stations I have tested yet. Way above the 1800. It ran for about 30 to 45 seconds at that level, but still very good. The Explorer 1500 can be charged using solar panels. What you see right here are the Solar Saga 100 watt panels that I showed you in my previous testing video. On the back of each one of these panels is a USB Type A and Type C port. These panels are designed to be easily transported because they fold up, taking up a lot less space in your vehicle. You can use other solar panels if you desire. The only problem is if you carry a 100 watt solar panel in your vehicle that's going to have tempered glass and an aluminum frame, it's going to take up more space and it's going to be harder to transport. These panels are not designed to be left outdoors in the rain. If they happen to get wet, simply take them out of the rain and dry them off with a towel. Each one of the solar cells is bonded to a copper substrate, and the covering around the panel is a canvas material. So you do have to be careful that you do not tear that material. In a previous video, I noticed that even though the panels were 100 watt rated, because the voltage output was lower than 21 volts, I was not getting the full 100 watt output going into the Explorer 500. We're going to start using 2 panels first, and then we're going to add in the other 2. That'll be a total of 400. You can see the intensity of the sunlight is right around 81,000 lux for this test. Right now the 2 front panels are connected to the Jackery. Each one of the cords from the panels goes into the parallel connector, and then the 1 cord goes into the input. And I have to say there's a definite improvement with these panels because we're getting around 184 watts going into the Jackery with the 2 panels. Before, when I tested them, I was only getting around 120 using the Jackery Explorer 500. All 4 Solar Saga 100s are now connected to the Jackery using the 2 parallel connectors. All 4 panels connected, the input power is now just under 400 watts. In case you're wondering, the Jackery 1500 can charge all the way up to 100% using your vehicle's accessory socket. For this test, I placed the Jackery Explorer inside a freezer. It's been in there now for 5 hours. The temperature, -8°C or 18 degrees Fahrenheit. Well below freezing, 32 Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. And the reason why I did it is because when you have a lithium-ion battery pack inside of a power station, you do not want to charge the battery pack at freezing temperatures or lower. I'm going to open the freezer door very quickly, plug in the AC charger into the power station, and we're going to see if it charges. Hopefully it doesn't, but if it does charge, you're going to want to make sure if you live in a cold climate that you never charge this power station below freezing. Okay? Right here, there's an indicator for temperature. Excellent. So if it gets below 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius, the unit will not charge. For this test, I'm going to leave just under 1800 watts connected to the Jackery until the battery drains all the way down. I want to get an idea of the battery capacity rating and also see if the Jackery can sustain that level of output without turning off. Let's give it a try. Okay, as you saw, it maintained the load right around 1,745 watts. And you notice when I checked the output voltage when it was drained all the way down, it was still right around 110 volts, and that's excellent because some of the power stations that I've tested, the voltage output starts to drop lower and lower as the battery voltage drops. So great performance. It ran 40 minutes continuously. Here you can see the Jackery's been charged up to 100% again. I had to wait between 45 minutes and 1 hour for the battery pack to cool down. In the cooling process, the fan was running. Once it got cool enough, the charging started. And I can tell you that it took very close to the length of time that was displayed on the LCD screen. Halfway through the charging process, I took a temperature reading of the switch mode power supply, and you can see it was a little hot, but nothing like other power stations that I've tested in the past. So what do I think of this power station? Do you really want to know? It's actually very good. The only thing I'd like to see change in the future is the use of a lithium iron phosphate battery pack, and also add the area light to the back of the unit. And that's about it. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to rate, thumbs up, and share. Thanks for watching.